So welcome to today's coffee lecture on the SWITCH-edu ID and how you can use it for Swisscovery. And I will start this out with a little story. So imagine you want to go to a nice city in Italy. What you need to go there is to have your passport along or your ID card. Uh, and it's easy. You just have this card and then you can enter. But there's another thing, and that is if you want to get to the really nice restaurant and have the nicest table with the view to the oceans, then you need some connections. And here there is a next player that enters the game. That's Luigi, the waiter. And if you are friendly to him and tip nicely, maybe the next evening you can get the nice table that you want. And yeah, how does this relate to Swisscovery? Let's go back to from the story world to the real world. So we have the place we want to go. That could be Swisscovery, and we have the SWITCH-edu ID that allows access to the services. But there is actually a number of other services that you can use. There is the national licenses. These are Switzerland as a whole country has licensed certain resources, like, for example, a back index of certain journals from certain publishers, but also the Cochrane library. There is a Swiss platform for massive online open courses. There is also, in some places, you can get temporary access to Moodle or OLAT, even if you're not affiliated with an institution, so you can get people aboard, and all that works with the SWITCH-edu ID. But who is our waiter, Luigi? That would be an academic institution, and I will tell you in a second what differences there are if you are at an academic institution. But first, let's look into Switch. Might sound familiar to you because, for example, if you rent a Swiss web address, so ending on .ch, then this is managed by Switch, and they do this. It's a foundation, and it also provides access via AAI. And so why the SWITCH-edu ID, you might ask? AAI typically is tied to your institution. So for example, if you're at ETH, then you can access certain resources via ETH. But the edu ID is personal, so it's basically a digital ID card. And we've had a vote a couple of years ago where we said, no, we don't want that the Swiss Post system develops, but this might be an alternative. And if you are at ETH, then you can go to password.ethz.ch and start the process there, get your edu ID and register. And then afterwards, there's one important thing that you should not miss out on, and is put a personal backup email address, because initially, if you do this with your ETH or your other university address, then at some point you're leaving there and then you might lose access. But this is supposed to be a lifelong ID that you can also use later on. So that's important. And so that is the first step. You sort of register and tie this to your university. That gives you the special connection. I will tell you afterwards how this helps. And then afterwards, to be able to use Swisscovery, you need a second registration. And this goes via a website and through a separate process, but you need the SWITCH-edu ID first. Now, I have this summarized, and I will put this in the chat afterwards, how you can do this, because I'm not going to go into more detail of that. And then finally, you get access to Swisscovery. Why is this so complicated? Well, there are 500 libraries in Swisscovery. 500 libraries in different cantons. And you know, Switzerland, each canton likes to do their own. So we have probably 26 different data protection laws, and we need to fulfill. So we need a solution that fulfills all of these 26. And that's where the SWITCH-edu ID comes into play, because it sort of only gives as much data that is needed to the individual library. And for example, as an end user, the staff of the library, and then things like, oh yeah, you are late, you have a late fee, and you're getting a bill that is handled centrally. So not everybody has that kind of data from you. And so the general access that this provides is you can borrow or have a look at millions of documents from all these libraries, but you have to go there and pick them up. And this is available to anybody who has an address in Switzerland. And so if you have this, then you can get an ETH ID, and then you can use these services. Now, what changes if you are at ETH and have ETH connected to your ETH ID? Then you have added services here. So for example, I'm in the chemistry building at ETH. We have a library here, the information center, chemistry, biology, pharmacy, and I can order a book from, example, from the ZB in Zurich and have it delivered here. So I can pick it up in the house and I don't need to go anywhere. I can also order free PDF copies, and for students, unfortunately, this costs something, but you can at least have it delivered in-house for this price. And if you are a student in our house with chemistry, biology, or pharmacy, you can also get a locker in front of our library with your SWITCH-edu ID. Now I quickly want to go into the system itself. So yesterday you might have heard this is Scopus, and I can search for articles here. And if I do a little search, I was searching for Alzheimer's, and if I search for Dutch articles, then there is some where I don't really have a connection directly via internet. So let's see where this leads me. To Swisscovery, of course, via ETH get it. And then it says, oh yeah, actually we have different kinds of access for this. So this is one way how this helps. Certain articles directly, maybe you don't find them even via Googling, but here there might be a way around how ETH has licensed this. So that's how Swisscovery can be helpful. Then I have a second example. Now let me see where I have that. Oh yeah, that's here. So this is a magazine called Parfumerie and Cosmetics. It's old, it's not published anymore. And if you search that, then you will find that at ETH we have it. It's in the deposit library, and these are actually bound. So you have a big stack of journals, and maybe you don't want to order that to copy out 2 pages. So if you're a staff of ETH, you can order copies of this, and it's going to be for free. And I quickly want to try out if I can get this to work. With that, I need to sign in, and then it pops up SWITCH-edu ID. So here clearly we see that we need it. And I quickly have to go to my manager. So this is tied, of course, now to my Gmail, and I am going to need password. Let's hope this works. And then, of course, it will recognize, oh yeah, I'm a staff member of ETH. And then some more appears. So I can click now at the pickup library and say, oh yeah, either I loan this, then I get the physical thing, so the big stack of journals, or I say, oh yeah, digitization, and then I can say, oh yeah, I only want these couple of pages, send me a PDF. And of course, that can make your research better if you are the one that follows up the old sources, as opposed to somebody who just says, oh yeah, this is some old stuff, I don't care about this, because this might be really crucial to follow up with this. Then there is other things that you can get via this, and that is something I want to highlight. So ETH also has power tools, and for them, unfortunately, you cannot have them delivered, but you need to either pick them up at the main library of ETH or at the construction library in the Hill building. And we can look at the list here. So we have, for example, a cordless jigsaw. We have a sanding machine, or we have a high performance drill. And I think this is really cool. For example, if you're a student, you don't have big equipment at home, but maybe you moved flat, you need to drill a hole in the wall. You can borrow this tool for 3 days, get your wall, drill your hole, hang up your picture, your lamp, whatnot, and then bring it back. And I think this is really nice. Then I have another application. So recently I became interested in the Schweizerögli, which is a Swiss instrument. And so if we search for this in Swisscovery, then there is, maybe now I quickly need to change the language to English, make it a bit more clear, but it's going to be the same search. Then we have a item on the left side, which is called scores. And so if I'm playing an instrument and I want some sheet music, I can also search that in Swisscovery, and at least part of it can be delivered also to my library of choice, which is really nice. It doesn't work for all of them, so not all the things that are in here can be ordered, because some libraries simply don't take part in this system. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, I think we've talked of this. So that's also worth for the students. So the delivery from all the libraries that are within the courier system is also free for students, but the postal delivery is only for the employees, and the PDF scans is only for the staff. We talked about the tools, about the music. I'll just copy. There's coffee library cards at the front. I'll copy the link now into the chat, and then I hope you join us again tomorrow to hear about Know It All and how you can use it to search for spectra. Okay, then I think I'm gonna need a new share quickly. That one. So I'll just copy a bunch of notes into the chat. I think that's the easiest. And the coffee lecture card is going to be the first of them. If there are any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, or if you have any question, feel free to ask. I also maybe quickly have a look at the chat. Okay. And with that, I'm at the end of today's presentation. I wish you a nice day. Thank you very much for joining.